It's time for the shop restock. Refresh. Ooh, should I get that? No, refresh. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for our weekly mod collection demo shop recap. This was the last update of the year 2021. I don't know about you guys in other countries, but in America, we drop a ball for New Year's. And Gibson dropped the biggest ball of them all for this update. And I don't mean that in a good way. If you were like me, hoping that we would see some sort of a special limited edition New Year's finish, yeah, we didn't quite get that. So F- Gibson, you let me down. But there were a few okay mentionable ones that we can talk about today. So at the time of recording this on January 2nd, all we've got left is this 335 60s Cherry, which I think we talked about last week, and the same Alpine Magic 54 Les Paul Custom Reissue. I knew this thing wouldn't sell like right away, but for it to have lasted over 2 weeks, I'm actually really surprised. If you happen to have missed the past 2 episodes, what makes this one kind of interesting is it's a cream back and sides with a sparkly white top. And if somebody doesn't buy it this week, I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's going to disappear. Do you guys remember the fancy double necks a couple of months ago that didn't sell for a few weeks? Here it is at the Gibson garage. I had a theory about this, where if a particular guitar sits around too long on the mod shop collection, in order to keep it fresh and make people think, oh, everything sells out fast, it seems they just changed its location. Not selling online, let's throw it at the Gibson garage. Maybe it'll sell there. Now, if it doesn't sell at the garage, I don't know where it goes after that. Maybe then they throw it in the demo shop. But a viewer of the show was visiting the garage recently and told me it was sitting there. And this is not the first disappeared mod collection guitar that somebody has sent me a photo of in the garage. So anyways, I tell you that in case there was a guitar that was sitting around, you were saving up for it, call the garage, they might have it. But let's move into this week's offerings. So our first one is an aged yellow satin. It was initially offered at $4,600. What's going on here? It's just kind of like a yellowed out custom. It really reminded me of the Gibson USA Billy Morrison signature guitar. These things are really hard to find nowadays. But it was just like a Les Paul custom as far as the binding goes, but yet it had a standard fretboard, but yet it was ebony, I believe, and it had the uncovered zebra pickups. Now the headstock's a little bit different, but it's just the whole yellowed out vibe. And honestly, looking back here, I don't know why it made me think of it, but hey, we haven't talked about that model on the show ever. It doesn't surprise me this one sold. But next up, we had another 70s Flying V. So last week, they had that blue one, but this time I saw this one. I was like, okay, we've got the black pickguard, we've got the black headstock. Did they do it? And the answer is yes. Yes, they did. They did a black stinger here. Now, this one's number 4 out of 6. And those other ones had other various numbers. So I highly doubt they made 6 of them exactly like this. So I think this was a 6-color set. And sometimes we don't see all those get listed online. Sometimes they get sold at the Gibson garage too. So these are ones that I think would actually be really cool as a complete set to have all 6 of them with their different color variations. They look cooler together than they do separately, in my opinion. One of the more interesting ones offered this week was for only $4,300, a custom Explorer that they put one of these guys on it. I can't say I would have ever done that myself, but what my brain is just filling in the gaps for is this thing really needs a dark tortoiseshell pickguard on it. Like so dark it's almost black, but yet you can still see it in the light. That's all this beautiful thing was missing. And now we have a 335 and a satin finish. I wanted to take some extra time to show you guys this one because it didn't actually show up in the photos correctly if you were here for the update. Because the photo was corrupted of this one. And then when they finally fixed it, it still wasn't right. Like even if you go into the sold mod collection listings, it's like listed backwards now. So I thought a lot of people might have missed this. So they took a 335 satin and they just sprayed it over in a yellowed finish. You know, like a yellowed over clear coat like they've been doing on some, and I've been really digging the looks of it, as have other people. So it's nice to see them continue to do that to offer like kind of an aged guitar without the relicking necessarily. I can't say this is my favorite looking one though. Maybe it needs like some really dirty double cream bobbin pickups in it or something. Or maybe it's the cream pickup rings. They're too clean for the rest of the guitar, as are those reflector knobs. Anyways, yeah, that wraps up the mod collection. Let's check out the demo shop. At the time of recording, we've got 46 results. Most of this is just leftovers from other uploads, though. Man, I can't believe those Carinas are still there. As far as what's currently available, there's this 57 Les Paul Goldtop Double Gold reissue. Double Gold doesn't really speak to me, but it might somebody. $4,000. You could probably find a different used one for about the same, but that gold is extra gold. It's almost a little bit brighter than a normal gold top as well. I haven't actually had one of these in person yet though to truly judge the finish, but the back is a nice dark back, though not as dark as some dark backs. But here you can see what I'm talking about with the whole custom shop, how they get that lightly aged lacquer on some of these things. It's nice to see that get used on the USA stuff too. The 61 SG Standard has some interesting wood grain figuring, but I wanted to share this one, not because of that, but because there is a boo-boo on that one. Uh-oh, looks like something happened when they were pre-drilling the screw hole on that. It cracked the wood. That must be such a shame because I would imagine that's like the guitar is complete. We just got to install tuners and oh no. And then this Les Paul Modern, Sparkling Burgundy, $2,600. Compared to brand new, it's $400 off, $200 off the initial price. But I like the neck on this thing. It's got some candy cane striped figuring on it. And not just in the headstock, it appears it actually continues all the way down in the neck. It just gets like wider before getting really tight. That's a fascinating neck. But now let's see what we've missed. Because you won't want to miss exclusive custom paint. Brown satin. They just put that in the title so you knew that they had repainted it, but I don't think brown satin is that exclusive or anything to get excited about, but it looks like they might have did the whole guitar, so that's something to be excited about. I like the knobs that they put on here. I do like that off brownish pick guard though, but as far as finishes go, that's pretty boring. We actually had 2 more Les Paul CMs show up this week. Surprisingly, this one's listed as a CM instead of a CM Black though. I'm talking the Black Series. The Black Series is worth a lot more than a regular CM. But what was cool about this particular one is even though I think they raised it $100 from last week's, which fair game, people buy these things for $1,800, they gave this one a hard shell case. These things shipped from the factory with gig bags, so that's actually well worth that $100 premium because this other one from earlier in the week was the exact same price, and they got a gig bag. I bet whoever bought this, if they saw that other one, then get the hard shell case, they're probably like, oh, Gibson. But sometimes that's the way it goes. You never know what they're going to include with these things. This Les Paul Jr. freaked me out because look at this layout. Regular Junior stuff here, but instead of a special having the toggle switch up here, they put it there. I mean, that's the same thing that CM Black just had, but it just kind of caught me off guard. Why'd they do that for this particular model back in the Henry J era? Because this thing is from 2016. Cost savings feature. They no longer have to route the back out right there. They can just do one regular route, so they just threw it there. Those are the flat slug P90 pickups. I think they call them P90S. The 60 Standard, absolutely beautiful. Awesome finish, awesome top. Love the gold hardware and kind of like the golden pickup rings. The back being red though. I don't know how I feel about that. I would have preferred a dark brown, I think. But the cream back plates are a nice touch. But what's going on with this one? 60 Standard Iced Tea. $2,000, okay, that's nice, but here's what a brand new iced tea looks like. I mean, it's got a little bit of a brown border. It's not extra dark and kind of yellow in the center. It's a nice mellow hue. Iced tea is one of the nicer looking finishes. Here's a good example. In the light, that'll lighten up a little bit. And I had some people questioning me when I said the brand new 50-60 Standards are historic looking. I don't mean that they look like 50s Les Pauls. I mean they look like the Gibson Historics. Like the finish is a very similar look with how glossy it is and the colors that they're putting on them nowadays. That's a feeling I'll never forget looking at the 50-60 Standards for the first time back in 2019. I was very impressed with those things. Photos really don't do these things justice. Just check out my review and demo. But anyways, look at this. It's not the same at all, but they only call it modified. So I think somebody messed up the paint booth or something that day, because I get it, they blacked it out as well, but that does not change this finish into looking like this. there's got to be more to the story of that one. So whoever got this particular guitar, I think you have not necessarily a prototype, but some guy at the paint booth either messed up or was trying something new, or maybe it just got sprayed twice. I don't know. It's kind of interesting though. Kind of reminds me of like a pumpkin burst. Then we had an SG Custom. Thought $3,400 was fair for one of these. Now it's got some nicks and dings to it, but other than that, nothing too special. Looks like somebody was buffing a little bit too crazy and burned through the finish. Let me tell you, my friends, just get a black lacquer touch-up pen if it really bothers you that much. We also had another one of those yellow SG Standards, CME exclusive. Pretty good price, they just swapped out your tuners on you, but it does have these large circles around the bridge posts, which is a real shame, because generally on the used market, that's because somebody was going crazy adjusting the bridge with a tool and it digs into the finish. I'm not sure if that's the same story with the factory or not, because we saw the same ones on that satin rat rod guitar. Although not quite as extreme. That's a satin finish versus the full-on gloss of that SG. But one of the more unique Les Paul customs out of this week was this guy. So exclusive paint Seafoam Mint with aged nickel vibrola and Nashville style bridge. This looks like one of their Gibson USAs that they've just modified, but then you keep going, it's like, okay, yeah, it is a custom shop, Les Paul custom. Unfortunately, only a top refin. Man, you know how cool that would have been if they would have did a mint green black burst, have that on the neck, the headstock, the back of the body, maybe even just did a black spray on there. That would have looked a lot cooler than what this is. But I guess then it would have been very, very similar to the one that I just reviewed, which was a sprayed over blue Les Paul Silver Burst. And now this Les Paul Classic. I was looking at it and I liked the wood grain, but I was looking for one more it factor to be able to share this one with you guys. And do you see it? This is not just a regular Les Paul Classic, it's a Les Paul Classic Lite. I believe this was an AMS exclusive. So they've modified this one with the uncovered pickups. They put witch hats on it, which I think looks fantastic. I mean, look at this regular Les Paul Classic in a very similar finish that they gave the whole blackout treatment as well, versus this. Those witch hats just they look so much better than the speed knobs on this one. I think it's because it breaks up some of the monotony and it gets you some of the black here, but then the shininess of the chrome, you've still got the topper and the numbers. That's just night and day difference. But then again, I also vastly prefer this finish. So whoever picked this one up, you got about a $200 discount back when these things were still offered, I do believe. Yeah, it was 2019 to 2020, but that's a nice top. Like, that was almost review and demo worthy if Gibson would have just left it stock. Next up, we have ambered Goldtop, which essentially looks kind of like the Slash Victoria model, but aged. Like, they gave it the aged hardware, and then they sprayed it over that ambered over hue. This just looks great. Oh, wow. I didn't see that wood grain on the back the first time, and the green plates look pretty nice. And there you can see all that aged look and glory right there. That was a nice one. Jealous isn't the right term, but very happy for whoever got that one is. And they even got a slight discount on it. I would love to see something Gibson USA just come stock like that. I think they could sell a whole bunch of them, but maybe then that would hurt custom shop sales. Speaking of custom shops, here's another Bengal Burst. I thought that was a nice top. This is another nice top if you like pinstripey ones, but I'll be honest, I've never liked the Fireball finish. It's one of the ugliest ones in my opinion, and it's not just because I'm not a big fan of the perimeter bursts. It's just the black border doesn't do much for me. And it looks like we got a finish check stemming from the neck on that one. It is kind of Halloween-like though. Next up, we have another Explorer Custom, but this time they didn't modify it. It was an okay price. I mean, do you want to pay $3,800 or do you want to buy it brand new for $5,300? Good deal in that aspect. And then the last one, look at these goofy, tiny little knobs. I mean, if you think about it, look at this pot. The pot shaft is only so wide. You can technically just get like a dust cover over top of that, essentially, and have even tinier knobs than this. But this guy, it got the Toaster P90 pickups and these really tiny knobs. It just throws off the whole balance of this Les Paul. But it's quirky and weird. It's easy enough to replace if you don't like it. But it just makes you think, how small of knobs can you really go? Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Hopefully next week Demo Shop Mod Collection will wow me a bit better, and maybe we'll pick something else up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.